So, who wants to be an idiot? So, here we are. Thank you. Bye bye.
You are listening to the Freelancer Codex, a podcast brought to you by the Shut Up and Respawn Network.
Welcome everybody to. Let me start that one more time.
Are you gonna push the button?
You
gotta push the button.
I pushed the button, but I forgot that this button was not pushed. So I'm gonna click that button, and now I'm gonna do it all over again. So here we go.
You can basically customize with decals.
You are listening to the Freelancer Codex, a podcast brought to you by the Shut Up and Respawn Network.
Welcome everybody to episode 164 of the Freelancer Codex podcast, a podcast that we do, the two of us. I'm your host, Steve, and I am here with my co-host, Mike. Mike, how are you doing? How is it going today?
It's going good. Why'd you go all robot?
You look like you are intently reading something. Like, what are you focused on? Like, what are you reading? You were like dialed in on something.
I am just trying to catch up and do all the things and make it a good show. I mean, we're gonna have a really good show, and I'm just trying to make sure that I've got all my ducks in a row to do it.
Are you catching up on everything right now as we speak, right this very moment? Because it is March the 18th of 2021, and I anticipate that Halo Infinite will release sometime in July. It'll probably be a little bit later than that. We're like 125 plus days out for Halo Infinite. If you believe that God of War Ragnarok is going to be coming out this year, some people do. Some people are like, no way, it's not happening. It's probably like 136 days away. Final Fantasy 16, which I am actually really excited for because of the direction that they're taking that franchise. Maybe that thing comes out at the end of the year. Maybe we're like 228 days away. I'm not sure. Falcon and Winter Soldier, though, that drops tomorrow, and that's pretty exciting. After our deep dives on WandaVision that we have been doing, we might have some Falcon and Winter Soldier stuff to talk about later on in the show, maybe some speculation, things we anticipate happening, but that'll be happening soon. And then after Falcon and Winter Soldier, we're going to dive right into Loki, and that show will be coming out. So there is a lot of Disney Plus Marvel action that we will be covering in the future. Something that I have really been enjoying. I enjoyed WandaVision immensely. Disappointed by some things, but overall, I really like that. So we'll be talking about a lot of that stuff later. But first, like we do on every show that we've ever done, because we've been doing this for 164 episodes, we like to thank our patrons because our patrons are amazing. And amazing people should be thanked. All those amazing people in your lives, you should probably go thank also. Just say, hey, thank you. If you have an amazing person, call them up on the phone. Maybe write them a letter. Maybe buy them a card, a thank you card, write something nice in it, and ship it out to them. How many people actually get cards nowadays when it's not like some card that your auto dealership, your local dealership sends out to you, making it look like it's an actual handwritten card? Turns out it's all just been printed, and they're like, hey, come buy a car. And you're like, screw you. You go send someone that you do know and that you are thankful for a handwritten card. We will say thank you to Julius, Nathan B, Michael R, Trent B, Manon Still, Scout 69, Dragonheart 76, Jeffrey H, The Gameplay Experience, RZ, and Phaedron. Thank you so much to our patrons. If you want to join these amazing people, you can do that at patreon.com/freelancercodex. You can kick $1 our way per month, get access to our 15-minute bonus show where we talk about movies that our kids are watching and if they're age appropriate. Mike and I both have young kids, and it's tough to figure out like when's that time to like tear off the Band-Aid of, all right, it's time to watch Terminator. It's time to watch The Matrix. It's time to watch John Wick, if you're an 11-year-old. So we talked a lot about that, and we came up with no answers. So if you have answers on what time it's, when is it appropriate to show your kids Lord of the Rings, at what age, just let us know. Because, someone might want to know over here. Cool. Mike, what have you been up to, man? What has been going on in the life of Mike?
Pardon me. So, hello everyone. Welcome into the Freelancer Codex. This week for us marked the beginning of spring break for our school district up here, and we had the chance to. Somebody's building a tower somewhere in my other room.
Who would be doing
loud?
That?
I'm not sure. Apologize for that. It's very distracting. So gearing up for this week, we talked last week about how we probably weren't going to have a show this upcoming week because we were all going to be on spring break. And it turns out that sometimes you make plans and the universe says, wait a second. So at the beginning of the week, we actually ended up going on a trip because we were able to, and we were ready to get the heck out of Dodge, as it were. We loaded up the family station wagon and we booked it west. And we headed towards a beach. My wife said, find a beach and take me there.
You're like 5-0.
I said, yep, exactly.
5-0
And I
went
said,
west.
you got it. So we loaded up on Saturday morning. And the weather was a little bit cloudy here in Farmington. And we started driving and we hit a town called Kirtland. And it started to snow and snow and snow. I call it hyperspace snow because when you're driving through it, looks like you're traveling through hyperspace. And it was just coming down and coming down and coming down and coming down. And we had been watching this storm for a while, thinking, all right, we're not going to take the south route through Flagstaff. We're going to take a north route kind of up through Page, Arizona, through Zion National Park, St. George, and Las Vegas. And we're going to be above the storm. Turns out we were not above the storm. We kind of went right through the middle. We went right through the middle of the storm. We hit snow all the way to the state line from where we are and beyond. We've done that leg of the journey. We've made that trip quite a few times through St. George from here, and so we're pretty familiar with it. We have kind of our things that we do on the stop. One of the things that we always do is we walk across the Glen Canyon Dam Bridge.
Why do you do that?
We couldn't do that. It's just fun. So we park and we walk across.
What part of it is fun?
Just walking across it, walking across a big tall bridge over a pretty deep canyon just to see it and show our kids and the engineering that it took to build the bridge and just kind of the parts of the world that they live in and the things that they can be proud of living in our area. And so we walk over that. We couldn't do it this time. The wind was blowing super, super crazy, and it was super, super cold. We usually stop at the visitor center there at the dam and kind of look and learn and play and see. And we couldn't do that either. It was way too cold with some of the restrictions involved. They were limiting people inside. Some areas needed to have reservations only. So we took off and we kept on going. We said, we'll get to our next spot that we like to stop on this trip, and we'll have a lot of fun. So we got strike one on the first little experience that we were going to have. So then we traveled to I just forgot the name of it. Hang on, it'll come back to me. The pink coral sand dunes. It's a state park in southern Utah, where just some really pretty sand dunes that are actually pink. And we're like, we're going to stop there and we're going to play there. And as we're driving, we see people stopped on the side of the road and they're wearing snowboard gear and big coats and big boots and snowboard pants. And we're going, this is interesting. And I mean, we weren't too surprised because there was snow on either side of us. And when we got to the dunes, we saw that they were just covered in snow and people were snowboarding down them. And they had to be all bundled up. And again, it was super cold. And we're like, oh, this is not okay, guys. So strike two, we turned around, did a little restroom break, turned around and got back on the road, headed for Zion National Park. And we're like, oh, man, it's kind of been a rough trip weather-wise. We get to Zion National Park, pay the fee to get in, which we're fine to do because it's a beautiful park if you're down in southern Utah or northern Arizona or even, visiting from a different place and you need to go through a route, definitely go through Zion National Park. It's well worth the vehicle entrance fee that you pay because there's just things that you will never see anywhere else all over the world. So you drive through the park and you can stop and you can hike and you can pictures and you can take pictures and you can do all kinds of cool stuff. Again, snow on both sides of the park. So we didn't get out. We did see some bighorn sheep. That was pretty awesome. We drove through. Again, it's just an amazing state park to go visit. That one was not a bust. We got to see everything that we would have seen normally. The only thing that we didn't get to do was take a hike that we usually like to do, get the kids out of the car and run around. But way too much snow, way too much slippery, and way too much slidey down the rocks and get stuck in a ravine. We drove through there, got to St. George, and St. George was pretty, very nice. Again, so much snow. This storm dropped a lot of snow in areas that doesn't normally get too much snow. Drove through St. George, had a lot of fun. just driving through. I mean, interstate. It's the first time we got to the interstate on this trip. So we booked it to Las Vegas, where we stayed a night, did a sleepover to kind of break the trip up over into a couple pieces so the kids wouldn't be in the car for 13 hours straight. Stay in Vegas, had fun there, got to see some cool things. Went to the M&M store. That's right there on the strip. Went to a teppanyaki for our youngest's birthday, which was pretty fun. She enjoyed it a lot. She's 4 now, and so pretty fun to see her grow up and to see her do all the things that she does. And then stayed the night, woke up, piddled around a little bit, visited some things, walked by the Allegiant football stadium, which is the home of the Las Vegas Raiders, which was pretty cool to see. I really like the design of the stadium. It looks super cool. It looks very small from the outside, but again, perspectives and things. Probably huge on the inside, but it was super cool to see it. And I like where it was located, just kind of like right adjacent to the strip. Not very far removed at all, like I thought it would be, kind of on the outskirts or whatever. It's right downtown. It's pretty cool. We have to get there and go to a football game or something because it's so close. Got to see that, showed the kids a couple other things, and then drove the other 4 hours to Los Angeles to get to our hotel near the Anaheim Resort, and had, again, just tons of fun there. It was pretty funny. We got there and we were able to go into parts of the park that we were trying to get tickets for a new event that they're having called A Touch of Disney, but we were able to get there early enough to where we could get in before the park closed. So we got to walk around, eat some food, see the shops, walk into the places, and do all the things. Had a lot of fun. It was kind of gloomy getting there, though. It was pretty deserted from what our usual standards are. We got to the hotel and there were maybe 15 cars in the parking lot, and nobody was there to greet you. And you know, the sun, and literally the sun wasn't shining. It was cloudy the day that we got there, and it was just kind of gloomy. And it was a weird feeling driving into LA, or specifically Anaheim, on that day, because it was just everything had shut down, and we were just getting used to all that stuff. So, but overall, it was a great trip. Kids had a lot of fun, made a lot of memories. Spent the day at Huntington Beach. That was super, super fun. We enjoyed that a lot. Oldest got sunburn, looked like a lobster afterwards. We forgot to sunscreen him up as he was body surfing and doing all the stuff that a 12-year-old does, and buried the kids in the sand, collected seashells, took a nap, moved or dusted sand out of all of our crevices, had to experience public bathrooms and all kinds of stuff that you get to experience there. But it's just super fun. It was a great trip to get out, and then had to come back early because, again, the weather got rained out at the San Diego Zoo, which was kind of a bummer. Super windy when we went down to San Diego, and so we tried taking pictures at some of the different shipyards and the big, I don't know, Steve, if when you guys were in San Diego, the big statue with the shoulder, not
with
shoulder,
with the what?
Soldier, the soldier kissing the nurse.
Yep.
The big statue commemorating the it's not VE Day, but it's victory
When they all came home.
in the
Yeah, it would have been
victory in the
Day.
Pacific. Yeah, it wouldn't have been VE because that was in Europe.
Gotcha.
But anyway, it was super fun. Had a lot of fun. Had to come home, cut the trip short. Our grandma had some health things going on, plus the weather kind of stymied us, and so now we're here. So yeah, it's been a great spring break, and we were glad we were able to get the trip. So that's about it. Did you guys get a chance to go anywhere?
Wow, that's a lot that you just dropped on us there, Mike. That's
Well, you asked.
It's the longest you've ever spoken on this podcast. You know,
That's actually not the longest I've ever spoken. So cut
what
that
I say
out.
You know what I say to that?
It's what we did. It's what we did. So
It was a brutal combo.
Pay me my money. In cash.
That's what I say to that. All right, I did a thing and it was fun, and we left, and then we came back. But I have been playing more Loop Hero, and Loop Hero has been kicking my trash. I might be playing it now. I might have played it through that whole story that you just told me. I might have. It's possible. So I've been playing a lot of Loop Hero, and then that's kind of all I've been doing video game-wise, aside from things like Batman Arkham Asylum, because for some reason I have been enjoying playing a Batman game. I think Batman Arkham Asylum came out in what, 2009? Mike, is that true? Batman Arkham Asylum.
I have no idea.
Let's see, Arkham Asylum release date. When was that? August 25, 2009. I guess when you have a year, because it's been a little over a year now when everything shut down, that time just kind of stops and it doesn't mean anything anymore. So, yeah. However, we do have a lot of news to jump into, Mike. Are you ready to jump into the news? Do you want to go into the news?
Mm-hmm.
Because we can go into the news if you want to go into the news. Or if you want to talk about something else, we can totally talk about something else. But normally this would be the time where we go into the news. So should I do it? Should I push the button? Tell me, Mike.
Yes, push the button. What
All
are
right,
you
I'm going to push the
doing?
button.
Push the button.
All right. I gotta talk to you about something.
This just in, the new Final Fantasy VII First Soldier and Ever Crisis details were revealed. And this comes over from Game Informer. I pulled a couple things. I'm not too interested in talking about the First Soldier BR that they're putting out. I'm just not interested in it, so I won't talk about it. So the thing that I am interested in, though, however, is the Final Fantasy VII Ever Crisis details. And this is regarding the mobile experience. So Ever Crisis, Nomura confirms that every chapter will be free to play, but there will be microtransactions in-game for weapons and equipment, which is kind of interesting for a RPG to have microtransactions like that. I guess we've had microtransactions in a lot of single-player games, but maybe just saying microtransactions in Final Fantasy just kind of sounds weird. But since Ever Crisis is a single-player experience that is meant to cover the entire Final Fantasy VII timeline, there's a lot of ground to cover, especially from the original version of the game, which means that the story has been compressed in some ways, and he added that the original Final Fantasy VII storyline is summarized in about 10 chapters, and will have the escape from Midgar happen in Chapter 3. Ever Crisis will also have original episodes from Final Fantasy VII, as well as the expansion on the story behind First Soldier. This is the added component of Final Fantasy VII experience while staying true in many ways to the original stories told. And more information about Final Fantasy VII Remake Part 2, Intergrade, Ever Crisis, and Future Soldier will be coming out in the coming months. Square did a big thing today where we'll talk about some of the announcements that they made there. But everyone that's looking forward to Final Fantasy VII Remake Part 2, we should get some information sometime this year. It'll probably just be to say, hey, it's not coming out this year. We're pushing it. We're still working on it. I don't know if they'll ever finish that game or how that's going to go. Maybe there's only a Part 2, and then that's the end of it. And then they'll be like, we're done. Because I know a lot of people are anticipating the Final Fantasy VII Remake will span a lot of different parts and not just 2. So it would be kind of weird if they said, nope, it's just 2, and then we're done. One of the interesting things also that I wanted to talk about as I write down this timestamp, because timestamps are important. Except I had to have started my timestamp machine in order to take good timestamps. So I'm just going to do some mental math right now. Michael, what's the best RTS ever made? Go.
Return to Sender.
RTS, Return to Sender? Real-time strategy game. Real-time strategy game.
The best real-time strategy game to ever play is going to be Donkey Kong.
For all of our audio listeners, I am staring at Michael blankly with a look of skepticism and disappointment all over my face.
He's giving me the finger. I don't know, Steven. What is the best RTS?
I don't know.
RTS of all time.
Some people would say it was StarCraft, Brood War. Some people would say it's some other game. I would say I really like StarCraft 2, and I really like Warcraft 3. But anyway, so there is a new RTS being kickstarted over on Kickstarter.com, and the name of this RTS is Immortal -Gates of Pyre. It is a free-to-play strategy game for PC featuring powerful armies, smooth controls, and godlike spellcasting commanders known as Immortals. I thought this was really interesting because it's been a long time since there's been an RTS that I've been really interested in trying. I still have StarCraft 2 loaded up on my computer, and I play it every now and then. Just, I really like StarCraft 2. I think it's fun to play. I wish more people that I played games with had it downloaded so I could do some multiplayer stuff with them. I did multiplayer stuff with Devin, and I totally destroyed him, and he didn't like that, so he never played again. But this game, and this is the blurb from the website, Immortal Gates of Pyre is a strategy game where players lead armies as godlike generals to dominate the battlefield and conquer their rivals across 3 worlds. These immortals lead their proud armies, civilization to victory with unique troops and powerful spells. If you go over to Kickstarter.com and go over to Immortals Gates of Pyre project, they have already funded. It's been up for, I think this is day number 2, and it funded 200% yesterday. I kicked in $30 just so I could get access to the beta to support people making interesting games. I think it looks really cool. It definitely looks very StarCraft 2-esque. Some of the units remind me very much of the Protoss, just the way they move. They kind of float around. But I think it's a really cool thing to look at if you're interested in any type of RTS. I think you should go check out Immortal Gates of Pyre. Even if you do not support it on the Kickstarter, you can go ahead and play it because it's going to be a free-to-play game. I believe that they said that the microtransactions will be cosmetic, and you'll be able to buy power in the single-player game, but you will not be able to buy power for multiplayer like it should be. So I thought that was really interesting. And again, that is Immortal Gates of Pyre. Michael, what's going on with Outriders?
Outriders is going on. It's coming to Xbox Game Pass on day 1. Can you believe it? Starting April 1st, not an April Fool's joke, I assure you. Xbox Game Pass for consoles, and Xbox Game Pass Ultimate members can jump on this true genre.
Wow.
This true genre hybrid from Square Enix, which combines brutal combat with the deep RPG systems. Outriders is set in the distant future, where players attempt to colonize a planet that they believe to be a new home for humanity.
Spoiler alert.
So Outriders is coming to Game Pass.
What is wrong with you?
I don't know. It's like my long A's. Outriders is coming to Xbox Game Pass on day 1. It's pretty cool.
It's pretty cool for people that are into Outriders or people that are not really into Outriders. I am not, but hey, you know what? I am already paying for it because I'm paying for Game Pass. So I could pick this up. I could play through it. I can not feel bad because I didn't spend any money on it. So there you go.
You may as well check it out, right?
There was a bunch of other games that were announced that were coming to Game Pass. Should we do these like I'll read one, you read one, I'll read one, you read one? Let's do that. Let's try it. Let's see if it works like that. So we're also going to be getting Undertale, and that's coming to Xbox, to the cloud, to the console, and to PC.
Empire of Sin, cloud, console, and PC.
Did you say
ID
thin?
at Xbox on March 18th.
Did you say like thin? Are you still having problems talking?
I said Empire of Sin.
Is that what you said? And then we got Nier Automata coming to PC March 18th.
Star Wars Squadrons, console, and EA Play March 18th.
Then we got Torchlight 3, which just recently released on PC, came out of open access, open beta, early access beta. That's on March 18th. Hey.
Today's March 18th, so Star Wars Squadrons is out today. So is Torchlight. So is Empire of Sin. Wow, calendars. Did you say Torchlight 3?
I did say Torchlight 3.
I'm going to say Genesis Noir, which is a funny word to say. Noir.
Is it French?
Console and PC. ID at Xbox, March 25th.
And then we got Pillars of Eternity 2, Deadfire Ultimate Edition coming to PC. I think we already have that on Xbox, if I'm not mistaken.
Octopath Traveler, console and PC, March 25th.
This is a game I was actually really surprised that this was coming at all to the Xbox. I thought it would live and die on the PC and on the Switch, but pretty surprising that it's coming over to console and PC because it's a game that I've wanted to play, and now I can just play it because I will just have it on the 25th because of Game Pass. Oh, and then we've got, did I skip a line? Is that what I did?
You
I
did,
skip
but
line.
you
All right.
could go if you know where you are.
Superland PC for the PC, not Superland PC. Superland for the PC is the thing that's happening.
Yakuza 6, The Song of Life, cloud, console, and PC on March 25th.
And then Narita Boy, that's also coming to the cloud, console, and PC.
Narita Boy. And finally, just to reiterate again, Outriders on April 1st. Not a joke, supposedly.
Do you think it is?
But
a
who
joke?
knows? Who knows? I mean, that's what people do now, right?
Who?
I'm going to make a joke on you. Just people in general. Haha, April Fools. And then you're like, oh, but I really wanted to have this thing or do this experience that you set me up to do. But they're like, no, April Fools. And you're like, whatever.
Do people do that? It's not like the kid April Fool's jokes that are just lies. Hey, Dad, your head's on fire. April Fools. It's not really an April Fool's joke, but
your
okay.
kids do that?
Yeah, it's because kids are interesting to have around. So.
Kids are funny. So, Steve, EA Play is coming to PC. Did you know that?
I actually did know that. Did you know that Xbox says they wanted to thank the PC community for the patience because there has been a lot of games that have, the EA Plays has already been on console, and all the PC players have been like waiting for it because we had to deal with the Origin launcher, and everyone loves the Origin launcher. But now all that stuff is coming over, and there's a lot of games, Mike. There's like more than 60 of EA's biggest titles and best PC games. They say that like, and the best PC games like Star Wars Jedi Fallen Order, which is like a really new game. So you're like, oh, this one's the best. What happened to all those other games? Then we're getting FIFA 20. Why not 21? Why not FIFA 20? Who cares about FIFA? A lot of people care about FIFA. I don't care about FIFA.
A lot of people care about FIFA. And just to shout out to the U.S. men's national team who won their game against Costa Rica earlier today by a score of 1-0. They have a tough draw in Group A, in which they have to play the Dominican Republic, but more importantly, Mexico on Wednesday. So we'll see if our U.S. men's team can beat them. I hope they do. I really do.
I think the Mexico team has the coolest name for their stadium, the Azteca.
Why is that the coolest?
It's just really cool because anytime you hear it, like when they're like live at the Azteca, it's like a really cool name for a stadium. Like what other? We don't have cool names for stadiums in the States. We have things like it's the Billy Johnson Stadium because Billy Johnson gave us a lot of money.
All of the stadiums in the States are sponsored. So the Allegiant Superdome, the Lucasfilm Fieldhouse, the
Chiquita Bananas
Sports
Stadium.
Authority Stadium at Mile High. So
no, Mexico gets the Azteca, which is pretty cool. Anyway, what were we talking about? Something about soccer. Yeah.
FIFA.
Oh,
because
Titanfall
everybody
2.
plays the soccer.
You should go play Titanfall 2 because you're going to have access to it. You probably already have access to it on your Xbox. You just didn't know it. You should play Titanfall 2 because it's a really good game. So a lot of that stuff is coming. Madden, Command & Conquer, The Sims. You can go play it on PC. Everyone will have fun. That's a lot of crap that we just talked about that is coming to Xbox. So not to leave PlayStation out, we should talk about some stuff that's coming to PlayStation. So Mike, what's coming to PlayStation?
Should we though?
I mean, I don't
should
see why
we talk
shouldn't.
about PlayStation?
We like
PlayStation at home. PlayStation Play at Home 2021 update. 10 free games to download this spring. Starting March 25th, you will be able to play. Are you ready?
Yes.
Abzu. Enter the Gungeon. Res Infinite. Subnautica. The Witness. Astrobot Rescue Mission. Moss. Thumper. Paper Beast. And on April 19th, you'll be able to play... I hope that's a typo. Horizon Zero Dawn Complete Edition.
Just expect all my documents to be littered with typos. Yeah, so this is a pretty cool list of games that everyone who has a PlayStation 4 or PlayStation 5 will get for free. I think it's really cool that Horizon Zero Dawn Complete Edition is on here. I don't know if they're getting people ready for Forbidden West, but this is a really cool list of games that all PlayStation players are going to get for free. So congratulations to all of you players. Like when you're here, your family. So this is a lot of games that everyone is getting like just because whether you're subscribed to Xbox Gamepass and you're getting like all these 60 games from EA over on the PC, or you're getting all these other games coming to Game Pass, Outriders, stuff like that, it almost feels like there is a plethora of things coming at you that there's no possible way you'd be able to get through it all. I was driving down the road, and like I do because I drive down the road a lot. I don't drive up the road. I always drive down the road, and I'm like, it feels like, you know, when you were young and you had a couple games you could play, just had a couple games, 1 or 2 games that you'd play because you had to rent them or buy them. They were expensive, and we didn't have you would just buy a couple of them, and those were the games you played because money was tight because you were a kid and your parents weren't going to shell out all this money. So you had 1 or 2 games, and then all of a sudden there's a crap ton of games now. And there's no way that we're going to play them all. So it becomes even more and more important for people to be like, these are the games you should be playing. And like, I always scoffed at rating systems because rating systems are like, yeah, whatever, I'm not sure. It's like, because it's one person's opinion, right? Like, just because you give it a 10 doesn't mean I'll give it a 10. Doesn't mean like, and ratings in video games are flawed like that anyway. You really just have to find someone that's reviewing a game that you trust, that you like kind of line up with. But yeah, there's a lot of games, I guess is what I'm trying to say. Too many games. There's way too many games to play. How do you pick which games to play? You get analysis paralysis like me, and you just end up playing Loop Hero because the little man walks around in the circle and he does all the gaming for you. I don't even have to really play the game. I just have to sit there and be like, I'm playing this game. But really, am I playing the game? Maybe not. There's a lot of games. That's all I'm saying, Mike. That's what I'm trying to say.
I wish that, and I know that exists kind of like a spinner to help you kind of combat some of that analysis paralysis where you click a button, what should I play next, right? So if you stick to that, right? Because a lot of times you just start spinning, I don't want to play that game. I don't want to play that game. I don't want to play that game. Like, if you're going to do the spinner, like, do the spinner. Play the game that it lands on and see where it takes you.
Do you ever do the spinner?
I have a couple times, and I actually have tried to force myself to play the game that shows up. I've done it twice. I kind of started the game. Remember that one that you were like, Mike, you played this game? Like, that came from a spinner.
Yeah, I remember that game.
Because I wanted to try it out, and I'm like, oh, okay. And really, the only reason I haven't done it is because I haven't been playing anything, right? So I'm in that game hole where I even though we say that there's tons and tons of stuff out there, for as much as there is out there, like I'm not going to say what I was going to say, but because there is tons of stuff out there, so get out, cut out the time. If you're going to play it, right? And so go out and do.
It's tough. Like when you get in the game hole and it's like you could sit down and you can look through the whole list of games because I have like a ton of games, but I'm like, I don't want to play any of this. But Loop Hero got me out of the game hole, so I am now in the Loop Hero hole doing that. But also, like, I hate spinners. I'll never use a spinner because you're like, you know, when you randomize something on your playlist and you're like, I'll just hit random, and you're like, nope, not this song. No, not this song. No. And you just like land on the song you've listened to already 4 times that day. And you're like, yeah, I'll just do this one. We're just like creatures of habit. We like what we like and we go back to what we like, and we just kind of have to wait until the spinner landed on the exact game that I actually wanted to play. So I do not like the spinners. So one of the interesting things that happened today is that Sony revealed the look of their next-gen PlayStation VR controller for the PlayStation 5. And I know this is a little difficult to show on a audio podcast, so we encourage everyone to go look up Phaedron. Thanks for hanging out with us in the chat. How are you doing? The controllers for the VR are interesting looking. Sony is saying that they're going to revolutionize the way we use controllers. The controller looks like if it was the handle of I just forgot her name. It's gonna come to me. Rosario Dawson plays her. Ahsoka Tano. Ahsoka Tano has 2 lightsabers that are curved. If you took her lightsabers and put a giant circle on them for some reason over the guard, then it would kind of look like that.
I wonder, Steve, just kind of speculating, I wonder if like the guards are sensor type to actually, I wonder if they're really trying to fine tune hand movements and things. because that's really the next iteration, right? Something like a glove or something like this, if it's a sensor to kind of figure out where your thumb is in relationship to your hand, how your fingers are. Like looking at this controller, it doesn't, it's not like, whoa, that's way different from what we have. I mean, Oculus has the big thumb ring guard on it. This makes sense. The thing that the big thing for me that I don't like about this, just looking at this picture right off, is it only has a wrist strap to keep it from falling off of your hand. That's like the big thing for me, because I've dropped mine a couple times. Even with the wrist guard and you swing and you let go, that becomes a projectile in and of itself, and you're kind of like swinging around a mace. And so that's my big thing. Like if anybody's listening who has any say over this, make it secure to my hand a little bit better than a wrist strap.
You play video games weird. So you're like, you want something that you put your fingers into and then wrap around the controller so that if you were to let go, the thing would still stay inside of your palm, right?
Well,
but
it wouldn't be hard, Steve, to take a strap from right down here at the bottom of your hand and have it go, again, touching your hand across the outer part of your palm. So like right here, right? And you can get attachments to the you can get overmolded grip covers for the Oculus grips that have that strap. But like,
oh yeah.
I get kind of upset that like phone companies don't build the case around the phone. Like you design this really cool phone, but everybody who buys it puts it in a case anyway. So phone companies build the case around the phone. Just make it durable.
Isn't
right?
Isn't
like
that
it's cool to be
the enclosure
is? It's cool to be made out of glass and like it's super slick and super, yeah, that's super cool. But everybody puts it in a big old OtterBox case anyway. So cut out the middleman.
Don't you think that people would
build the phone around the case?
Don't you think people would just put the bigger phone inside of a case?
Not if it's marketed that way. Not if it's like, hey guys, you don't have to go out and buy a case. We've already put the rubber bumper in it, and it's got the hard plastic shell around it. We know that you're going to throw this in a case anyway. We've just kind of helped you out. So
I disagree.
Here you go.
People would still buy a case and put that phone inside of a case because of resale value.
And people might, yeah, resale value of a phone is, I mean, that's worse than resale value of a car.
Phaedron in the chat says, what are you guys going to talk about without WandaVision? Oh, Disney Plus will provide, Phaedron. They will provide. But yeah, that's the Sony thing. You want to talk about some Halo? I know we all want to talk about some Halo before we move on. So Mike, what's up with Halo?
Steve, I'm going to talk to you about Halo, and you might get upset about this, but you might not. I'm not sure. I don't really know where you lie on Halo. But Halo Infinite will not feature the iconic dual-wield mechanic or playable elites.
I'll tell you where I lie on this.
So no dual wielding. I know you like to dual wield. Everybody likes to dual wield. If you can, you can. You should, but you can't do it.
I actually don't mind this. I mean, dual wielding hasn't been a thing in a while in the Halo games. Like, it was cool in Halo 2 when you're like, whoa, it's Halo 2, and I've got a needler and a plasma thing. No one likes the needler. I like the needler. I think the needler is a fantastic weapon. But
my least favorite, if anybody cared, which I know they're not,
is the what?
The needler, my least favorite.
Why is that
your
least favorite?
It's just stupid looking. Hey, look, here's an alien gun. Let's make it look really alien. Because, of course, aliens make things stupid. Like why can't we give the aliens some love? Like they can make a good product. No, we just got to stereotype them as like, oh, you're going to make something weird. Whatever.
Phaedron,
carry on, Steve.
Phaedron
just leave me
chat
here.
Says, Mike, I care. So, Phaedron cares about your weird opinion on designing alien.
He doesn't.
He's
just saying that.
He probably is just saying that. He probably really doesn't care. But thanks for supporting the show, Phaedron. We really appreciate it. Yeah, and elites aren't going to be playable. Elites being playable was really cool in Halo 3 for the multiplayer. They kind of had a larger hitbox, so no one really played them. No, what was it? You could like hide them because their heads were lower, so you could like kind of hide your head or something like that. Anyway, they're not going to be playable, so I don't know. Just you're not going to be able to play as the Arbiter. I'm going to guess if you're going to do some Halo Infinite multiplayer, you're just going to be another Spartan, and it's probably going to be like a Spartan 9 or something, or maybe you're going to be more Spartan 2s. There's not that many Spartan 2s left in the Halo universe, so I'm not sure how many people are going to be that, but it'll be interesting anyway once we get there. Yeah, Phaedron says bigger hitboxes, smaller headshots. Phaedron playing lots of Halo in his day, so that's been your Halo Infinite update. The team has actually been putting out a lot of information on their blogs. Like, they're so big that you like look at them, you're like, I don't know if I can read through this, because there's just so much information talking about their design philosophy, what they're doing, what they're working on. They're showing off a lot of their armors. I'm kind of at this point where I'm like, I just want to play the game. Like, I could read all this stuff and get super excited and then be disappointed, or I could just play the game and have fun with the game when I get it on Gamepass on PC, because I'm just going to get it anyway. So I'm excited for Halo Infinite because it's going to be coming sometime this year, I hope. Or they could delay it if they need more time. That's cool too. I mean, we just bought Bethesda, so Microsoft can be like, no, we're just going to hold on to this. We're going to work on it a little bit more. And what are we going to say? We're not going to pay for Game Pass? No. We just got like 40 games from Bethesda and Game Pass because of everything that happened. So anyway, take your time, make a good game. That's all I'm saying. Speaking of good games, Michael, and taking your time, there's something else I want to talk to you about. And this is something that dropped today during Square's little dilly that they did on the internet. So we know that back at the PlayStation Reveal PS5 event, they showed off a game called Project Athia, which was a working title for a game that they were showing off. This comes from the creators, the team that did Final Fantasy 15, and we got our first look at gameplay for a game called Forspoken, and this was Project Athia. The game is now called Forspoken. And we got a look at our main character in a world where she's like, oh no, there's a mother effing dragon up there. And she's like, you have to hide. A voice told her to hide. The game looked really interesting. There wasn't a lot shown. We did get to see a couple enemies that our character fights. Now, if you are a player of Final Fantasy 15, if you have played Final Fantasy 15, the movement looks very similar to the way that the characters would kind of zip around the battlefield in Final Fantasy 15, so that is very much at play here. We see our character with signature tennis shoes zipping around the battlefield, zipping around the environment. I think for some reason shoes and clothing are going to play a big role in this game, is kind of the vibe I'm getting from Forspoken. Our character is talking to someone who I believe is probably... The main character we see has this big gold bracelet all over her, on her right arm. And I think whatever voice we're hearing is probably coming from this thing. That's the vibe I got from the little tiny teaser. That could, of course, change. I think Forspoken looks interesting. I am excited to learn more about it, to see what it is. It definitely has a Final Fantasy vibe to it with the monsters that you encounter. It definitely I also, in the old Project Athia trailer, you saw a wolf and a dragon. It looked like they were incomplete, but they were glowing from the inside. Phaedron comments on her cloak. Her cloak and her clothes did look very cool, looked very interesting. But these creatures look like they're not fully formed all the way. In the new gameplay trailer that we saw, there was kind of like some 3D effects, like that were kind of like building something, like they were building the creatures. It had a very like Westworld vibe, you know, the beginning of Westworld when they're like doing the 3D printing of the people's bodies or whatever. Kind of felt like that to me. I definitely want to see more. It was a very short trailer, but it definitely has my attention. I'm excited to see what this is, because, you know, it's like, I'm a sucker for the Final Fantasy games, for most of them anyway. So I'm excited to see more. I was really surprised that they didn't announce anything for Final Fantasy VII coming to PC next month, because the 1-year exclusivity for PlayStation should be up sometime next month. So I don't know if they're just not allowed to say anything until it actually happens, or even if they're like someone dropped a tease saying, hey, this is coming to Steam on this date. But hopefully we'll get some more Final Fantasy next month on the PC. Sorry, Xbox. Oh, and Forspoken at the end, it says it is coming to PlayStation 5 and PC. I am hoping that that is at the same time and we don't have to deal with this whole PlayStation gets an exclusive for an entire year. Just kind of sick of that crap. I really don't like it. So Phaedron in the chat says he thinks that they can't say it either, so we're just having to wait. Because I want to play some Final Fantasy VII on my PC. So that is what we're doing there. So, Mike, I think that's all the news. That's a lot of news, man, that we have just covered.
We did go through a lot of stuff. That is, we have not gone through that much in the last few weeks. So we're glad that there's at least something to talk about, right? There's some stuff coming, games coming, fun stuff.
There's games coming, and there's already a ton of games that we can all go out and play if you subscribe to a bunch of different services or if you own some certain consoles. So there's like stuff everywhere for you to play no matter what. You can dig through that backlog because for right now, like there's not going to be a lot of stuff for the near future. So yeah, that's some stuff. So normally this would be the time where we jump in and talk about the latest episode of WandaVision. But now, since WandaVision is over, I think tomorrow launches episode number 1 of Falcon and the Winter Soldier, which is something that
you think tomorrow. Like you're unsure if it drops tomorrow? Because I'm pretty sure it does drop tomorrow on March 19th.
I've learned in my life that I should never be 100% sure about anything because things could always change.
Things can change.
So that's what I learned.
And they do change. And that's what you have to think about is things change.
So, Mike, how are you feeling about Falcon and Winter Soldier coming out? I should have prepared a Falcon Winter Soldier thing, but I've been staying dark on everything. So, like, hey, I haven't even looked at any of the trailers or anything that's happening, just to prepare for tomorrow.
Which is probably safe. I hope that it doesn't take a page out of WandaVision's book. I hope it's good. I hope it's done well and written well, just like everything. You want it to be good and you want it to be successful, and I'm looking forward to it. But yeah, I think it's going to be what it is.
That's a pretty good take.
Yeah, I'm not building up for it. Because I don't want to be disappointed. But I do like the characters. I do like what's going on. I've liked their stories in the previous movies, and I hope that they are going to get story developed, and I hope it's going to be good. And I want it to be good, and I think it's going to be good because I do enjoy Anthony Mackie. I enjoy Sebastian Stan. And I hope their adventures are adventures that I want to be a part of.
Phaedron in the chat says, wait, was WandaVision bad? ? WandaVision was not bad, no. WandaVision did some really interesting things in the beginning that kind of gave you, if you are a fan of Lost, it definitely had some Lost vibes to it because it was like this, there was something happening in the background that you were trying to figure out. You were trying to piece together. You were very active as a viewer of WandaVision, and that kind of sucks you in. I liked WandaVision overall. I did have some pretty big issues with some of the parts of it. Apparently there was a lot of issues that COVID caused that we all know that kind of affected the way things developed, the way storylines ended up. But no, WandaVision wasn't bad. I think WandaVision was one of the more interesting things that has happened in the MCU. WandaVision helped make Age of Ultron a little better, just diving into the story of Wanda and Pietro. So something, it couldn't be bad if it made a terrible movie just a tiny bit better, right? Paul Bettany and Elizabeth Olsen did an amazing job as the leads of that show. There's a lot of interesting secondary characters that are in there also. So no, WandaVision wasn't bad. It did do this thing to where it's like, okay, do we want another show where we have to look at every single thing and wonder if it's a call to something? Are we missing something if we're not diving deep into all of the dialogue, or if we're looking at every single clue in the background? I don't think Winter Soldier is going to be that, or Falcon and Winter Soldier is going to be that. I don't know exactly what it's going to be, because again, I've gone pretty dark on it. The only thing I have seen is like one little teaser that we saw at a hotel, with Anthony Mackie throwing the shield at a tree. So that's really the only thing that I have seen. So I don't know what to expect. We know that Sam had the shield, the title of Captain America has been passed from Steve to Sam at the end of Endgame. I imagine he'll kind of have to fill those shoes, and whether he feels adequate to fill those shoes, whether he wants to fill those shoes differently, that'll play into it. I know some people were speculating like, oh, Bucky is going to want to be the Captain America. Like, I don't know why people have been like spreading that around. Like, I don't think Bucky would ever want to be Captain America, just because of the things that he's done in his past. I think Bucky is probably just trying to move on from his past and move into the future, and being in the spotlight as Captain America seems like it would do the opposite of that. I think he was probably perfectly fine just hanging out in Wakanda until Thanos showed up, and kind of just, helping out and living under the radar there. So I don't know exactly how things are going to shake out. But as we do like speculation and things that I do want the show to do, because WandaVision was 9 episodes. Falcon and the Winter Soldier is only going to be 6. So it's going to run from tomorrow, March 19th to April 23rd. And then after that, there is a break for May. And then Loki comes out June 11th. I don't know exactly what's coming out in May, that there would be a break in May. I don't think there's any movies slated for it, unless it's possible that Black Widow comes out in May. Let's see. Marvel, May 2021. Let's see. Let's get in here and figure out what is happening for Disney Plus. Disney, I think it's Black Widow. Okay, so May 7th, Black Widow releases on Disney Plus. I don't know if this is going to be one of those you can rent it or you can buy it, but after Falcon and Winter Soldier, we're going to get Black Widow, which goes back in time. So I don't know how much of this will actually come into play for the future of the MCU, unless there's a lot of secondary characters that we will now know of that will show up later in other things. But yeah, I am excited for some action. I hope we don't end up fighting a nameless villain or an army of just robots or sock puppets. If it was an army of sock puppets, that would be really weird. But yeah, a lot of people have been pointing toward, a lot of people got some screeners, and there actually are some reviews for Falcon and Winter Soldier up on Rotten Tomatoes now, and it is doing very well. I guess the score is really high. I really like Anthony Mackie as a character, as an actor. He's been in a lot of things on Netflix recently that I thought he was really good in. He was in season 2 of Altered Carbon, which was interesting. I think he did the best he could with that role. I don't think the role was I don't think the story in season 2 of Altered Carbon was all that interesting, but I think he did a great job with it. So if we head over to IMDb, there's a movie that I need to remember with Anthony Mackie that I want to recommend. Not Anthony Hopkins. That is a different thing, because he's been doing a bunch of this stuff for Netflix. Okay, so the movie is called, let's see, he was in the Adjustment Bureau. He's in a lot of things that I haven't seen. Okay, it is called, let's see. This is great radio as I look this thing up. It really is. Like, just go with it. Outside the Banker. I don't think it was The Banker. Was it called The Banker? Nope, not The Banker. It's a movie I haven't even seen. The Banker has Sam Jackson in it, and I haven't seen it. I thought I saw everything with Sam Jackson. All right, why is this not? I'm going to find it. No, I'm not going to find it. I don't even care anymore. Let's call it.
I apologize.
Thank you so much. All right, the movie is called Point Blank. It came out in 2019 with Anthony Mackie. He is an ER nurse and a career criminal, and forced into an unlikely partnership in taking down a ring of corrupt cops. threatening the lives of both their families. So that was a good role that Anthony Mackie was in recently that you can go check out on Netflix. And it also has Frank Grillo, who is, he's Skull and Bones. Brock Rumlow, who was, no, it's not Skull and Bones. What's the name of his character? Crossbones. Thank you. Yeah. So he's been acting in a bunch of stuff. So that's Falcon and the Winter Soldier, and we'll get into that. Mike, I just spoiled the whole thing while you were gone. We just did a review, and
You spoiled it all?
I spoiled it all. I just watched it, spoiled everything, just broke it down.
Oh, man.
All right, so that's what we will be diving into in the future of the episodes. We'll talk about a lot of the video game news, and we'll just do another deep dive into Falcon and the Winter Soldier, talk about everything, breaking down dialogue, getting fun little clips, and just kind of diving into the show in depth, the most in-depth deep dive of Falcon and the Winter Soldier on the internet that you will ever find. And that's all I have to say about that.
I apologize that I had to duck out. Sometimes things happen at home that you have to take care of. It's kind of one of the pleasures of being able to record this at home. Sometimes you have to jump out, so I do apologize.
Sometimes kids just need the people's elbow.
Sometimes. But yeah, I'm excited for Winter Soldier. I want to be excited for it. So
you don't have to want. I mean, you can choose to be.
I want to. That's what I said. I want to be.
You want to be excited
for
but
it.
you're not excited?
It's going to be good.
There you go. You made it.
It'll be good. It really will be good. It'll be good. It'll be great. So
what if it's not?
If it's not, then you probably talked about it already. It'll go the way of Winter Soldier, not Winter Soldier. It'll go the way of WandaVision, because sometimes things are good and then they're not, and you're like, oh.
No, WandaVision wasn't bad.
It wasn't. I think, and we talked about this. It fell off at the end. Wasn't what we thought it should have been, but it is what it is.
It is what it is. All right, that has been episode 164 of the Freelancer Codex podcast. Thank you for joining us today on this. What is today? On a Thursday, on a day that we don't normally record. So, and now we know why we don't normally record on Thursdays. So,
right, we don't normally do it, and we shouldn't.
So we won't.
Maybe we should. We won't. So there. It's whatever. So
whatever. Just forget it.
So just forget it. Sorry. Hey, did you drive through a snowstorm?
I did. I drove through multiple snowstorms. But luckily, I'm the guy that can drive through the things and come out okay. Because a lot of people can't. And a lot of people don't know how to drive in snowstorms. Or even when it's raining. But hey, we get a lot of practice doing that out here. And, so that's what we did. So, all right. Episode 164. Thanks. See you later. Go make the world a better place. Phaedron hidden with that Prime sub. Thanks, Phaedron. We appreciate you. We really do. Dave subscribed for 7 months. That's a really long time. Phaedron.
That is a long time.
Congratulations on being the best. And we'll see you all later. Let's end it on a note. And that's a note. We'll end it on the sub note. And I'm going to hit a button.
Human after all. I'm only human after all. Don't put your blame on me. Don't put your blame on me.
Thank you for listening to the Freelancer Codex,
I thought I
a
deleted it.
podcast
I really
brought
did.
to you by the Shut Up and Respawn Network. Follow us at Freelancer Codex
It's
on
random.
Twitter or
I didn't
Twitch.
pick it on purpose.
Send emails to
It just happened.
freelancercodex
I just
at
did it.
gmail.com or voice messages to anchor.fm/freelancercodex/message. We wish to thank all of our Patreons. We are grateful for you all.
It's true.